Live it up, live it up, live it up.
Hey guys, and welcome to this review of Wendy and Julian season 1 episode 4 Parents. So this was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. I gotta do a little something different with the rating at the end, and I'll explain that, but let's just get into the review of this episode. So we start out this review with Wendy and Julian having brunch with her mom, and the mom asks, are you guys coming over to Wendell's house? And Julian is like, who? Because he doesn't know Wendy's father's name. Put a pin in that. So he doesn't know her father's name, and so her father and his new bride, they're having a dinner or housewarming of sorts for their new house. And so, you know, Wendy basically just hurries her mom out the door. She doesn't want to talk about it because obviously she hasn't mentioned it to Julian because she doesn't really want to go. So she tells Julian that, you know, my dad is difficult, and trust me, he's not like my mom. He's just very difficult. He's very judgmental. And Julian is like, that sounds familiar. And so she just really doesn't want to go. And especially with the new bride, she's not really feeling her. She just doesn't want to go. And Julian tells her, you know, at least you have a family that could come together, and I would give anything to have that. So he talks her into going, and they go to her father's house for the dinner. So when they get there, they're greeted by her dad and his daughter bride. Because y'all know that didn't look right. Anyway, they're greeted by them, and within 5 minutes of this episode, Wendy's dad validates everything she has said about him, as far as him being difficult and him also being judgmental. Because after he greets Wendy, I think the next thing he tells her is that look like she's gained weight, and Wendy's like, thanks, Dad, because you know, she didn't say it, but she was just like, thanks, Dad, because you know that's what any woman wants to hear, you know, that looks like she gained weight. She introduces Julian. Julian extends his hand for the handshake, and Wendy's dad is like, oh, the chicken salesman. And so he completely ignores Julian. He doesn't shake his hand, and he's like, Wendy, come on, let's go inside. It's gonna be a lit up day. Lit up day. And Wendy's like, a lit up day. And so the daughter bride then explains, but I used lit around him one time, and ever since then he's been using it the wrong way. And Wendy's whole body language, the language of her whole body, said, get the fuck out of here. And she went in the house. Okay, she was over it. She was over it. All right, showing that she doesn't care for this new wife at all. So once they're in the house, we meet Papa. Papa is Wendy's grandfather, and I love this character. He gave me so much of something, a little bit of something, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I mean, this character could have been like Sybil, because we had all kind of different kind of personas going on. I got Leon from the 5 Heartbeats. He had a little bit of that swag. I got Sidney Poitier, and the way that he talked when he was like, I'm doing fine. How are you? And when are you going to let me show you how real man? I was like, what? You better go ahead and talk like that. And then Papa, what did Papa do? Papa also gave me Adolph Caesar. I hope I didn't mess up his name, but I believe it's Adolph Caesar. Remember in The Color Purple when they're at the dinner table and he was like, maybe she could sweep out the caboose? He gave me that when he was cutting up at the table. That's later in this review. And then he was also giving me Joe. Yes, Joe. Medea's brother, played by Tyler Perry. He was also giving me that. So he was giving me a lot. This gentleman who played Papa was just giving me so much of everything in this character, and I absolutely loved it. Shortly after that, after we meet Papa, Papa tells Wendy, that she should just, go in the kitchen with the women so that the men can talk. And Wendy just gave him that look like, and said to him, basically, that's outdated and I'm old enough, and her daddy, Wendy's daddy's going. And so Wendy's like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead on, because y'all not gonna take me there today. So Wendy goes in the kitchen, and she begins like helping her mom, who is helping Janet out with, the preparation for the food and everything. Let's just talk about the shade, okay, that was going on in the kitchen. So when it was just Wendy and her mom, Wendy was like, oh my God, the Christmas tree, why is the Christmas tree still up? She's like, this is not her house, this is my dad's house. And she was just going on, and she was like trying to ask her mom, like, why are you acting like this is normal? Because it's not normal. And so I'm assuming she means not normal because of how young the bride is, who's like Wendy's age. And so, or either maybe she meant it's not normal as far as, I don't know what the divorce was like for Wendy's mom and dad, but they're all together like they're one big happy family. And Wendy's like, this shit is fake, and I just don't know even what you're doing. And her mom is like, she is his wife, she is the lady of the house. And so, so then Janet comes into the kitchen, and she's making small talk. Now here's some shade, okay? Here's some fuckery, right? You gotta, even though it's coming off being presented to us like it's not fuckery, it is fuckery. Okay, so Wendy's mom is giving Janet tips on, how Wendell likes to eat, and when he's hangry, that means when you're hungry and you get hangry, okay, and telling her, giving her tips on, when to ask for certain things, because you can get anything you want out of him if you do this. Now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, no ma'am, because I don't know any woman. Okay, now I'm sure there are some, but I'm willing to say that the majority of women do not want tips from the ex on tricks and different little things to know about their man. That is like, whatever that was for y'all, that was for y'all. I'm in this relationship with him now, so I will discover him through our own experiences. I really don't want to hear the Cliff Notes version from the ex-wife. That just is a little something. And I feel like when Wendy's mom was doing that, even though she was doing it with that pleasant smile, I just thought, you are being shady. You are still trying to communicate to this woman that this is my husband. I know him. Let me help you out, because she's staking her claim. Because you don't need to be giving the new wife pointers on how to get stuff out of your out of her husband now, and when to feed him. Really, Wendy mama? So Janet is trying her best. Janet is very, very much trying to make a connection, especially with Wendy. So she talks about, oh, I like your dress, and where did you get it from? I just bought something just like that. Wendy is not trying to feel her. Wendy is literally not responding to her. No matter what she says, she is not responding to her. Because even when she was talking to Wendy's mom about, oh, okay, thank you for all the tips, I'll try to use that because I'm trying to get Wendell to go to a Solange concert, Wendy was just like, because it's an age thing, right? Like, my dad going to a Solange concert. That's like me here and you say, you trying to get my dad to go to a Jay-Z concert, or you trying to get my dad to go see Big Sean, or you trying to get my dad to go to a Chris Brown concert. Negative, okay? Because my dad should be going to see Frankie Beverly and Maze. Janet says, Wendy, just talk to me, just talk to me. She said, you don't have to look at me like I'm your stepmom. You can look at me like a sister, and we can share things, and you can share confidences with me, and we can share clothes and do each other's hair and pop bubble gum. Oh, yeah. So Wendy looks at her and says to her, I will never look at you as a stepmom. You are just the lady my daddy married. And she exits. So we're finally at the dinner table. There's small talk happening at the table, most of it by Janet. So she's still, just trying to get everybody, I guess, to kind of just relax a little bit, because you can feel the tension in the room. And so she starts talking with Julian, and like, I hear you're an entrepreneur, what kind of business? And Julian starts talking about, wing pop that became Chef Julian, and explains that it was wings and popcorn. And the men, Papa and Wendy's dad, Wendell, they laugh at that, and Papa says, in my day, you call that unemployed. Then Janet is like, that's where I know you from. That you delivered to our old house. And so then Wendell is like, so he's the one who you said hit on you when he delivered food to our house, talking about how good you looked in your jeans. All hell breaks loose, and Julian is like, what? Wait, what? Wendell is like, so that means that at the same time that you were trying to hit on my wife, you were also trying to hit on my daughter. And Julian was like, no, that was before. And Wendy was like, it was before. So Julian then starts trying to explain how he is a changed man, and he's talking about, God willing. He said, God willing, I'm going to be with Wendy for the rest of my life. And so Wendy gave him a look, and I do not know what that look meant. I do not know if that look meant, oh my God, you want us to be together forever, like I love you so much, look, or was that look, the hell you say? I'm not even sure we should even be together, because quite frankly, that is the energy that she has been giving us so far this series. So anyway, Julian goes on, back to Julian. Julian goes on to explain, because when he says God willing we'll be together forever, so then Wendell and Papa get into so you know the Lord. Do you really know him, son? Do you know the Lord? And Julian's like, yes, sir, I know the Lord. So with him trying to defend and prove that he knows the Lord, he talks about how without the Lord, he and Wendy could not have gotten through everything that went down with the business, the baby. And they're like, baby, you got Wendy pregnant? And then Julian's like, no, that wasn't me, that was Daryl. What? So, and Wendy's dad is like, Wendy, you're pregnant? And then so it just, all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose at the table. So Wendy ends up saying, she had an abortion. What I really needed to explain how Julian could have this kind of a slip up, I needed Julian to be drunk. Now, we saw Julian throw back one beer when he first came in the house. And he threw that beer back like it was a shot. He threw back a can of beer like he threw back a shot. Then we saw him with another beer at the dinner table. Okay. So at best, all we saw were 2 beers, right? So in order for him to fuck up like that and divulge that kind of information, I needed to see brown liquor. That's what I needed to see. Because I'm like, I don't understand how you even slip up like that. Okay, but he did. So once he said the thing about when Wendy then said that she had the abortion, the dad is like, he can't believe it. He says that it's an abomination. He gets upset with her mom because the mom knew about it and she didn't tell him. Janet tries to come to Wendy's defense and tells Wendell that it's not 1965 and it was her decision. He doesn't care about any of that. So then Janet said, well, I had an abortion. And Papa said, oh, Lord, God's going to smite us all. And that was the funniest part in this whole episode for me. Okay, because I watched this episode multiple times, and I'm going to tell you, every time I watch this episode, I still laugh at that line from Papa. Love you, Papa. So Wendy's dad calls a family meeting. So when he calls the family meeting, everybody's looking down at Julian like, you need to go. So Julian takes his plate and he leaves so that, goes outside so they can have their family meeting. And so when he goes out, so Janet said, okay, so let's all try to talk. And Wendy's like, you too, Janet. And so, Janet gets up, you know, the dad, Wendell, doesn't come to her defense in any way. And so she has to leave too. Now, y'all, let me tell you something. Ain't no way in hell would I have been dismissed from my own house. Because are you not now part of the family? Now, the thing about this scene is that if I put myself in the shoes of the different people, I get where they're coming from. If I were Wendy, I get where she's coming from. It's a very sensitive subject. She feels no connection to the new wife. And she feels like this needs to be my family. And she considers her family to be her dad, Papa, and her mom. That's it. Okay? The dad didn't stand by the wife at all for her to stay there or whatever. So he's like, yeah, you know, you got to go. But I'm telling you right now, as the wife, I don't care if I just married him yesterday. You are not dismissing me out of my house. This is a new house y'all bought together. And she was dismissing. She went outside. Now, this little girl, I keep calling her little girl just because she's dating Santa Claus. But I'm telling you right now, I'm like, girl, you're trying too hard. You are trying too hard. You are trying too hard. That is not happening here because Santa's not going anywhere. The fact that you think I should be leaving the room is going to make me sit right there. So y'all can take y'all family meeting outside or down the road or to a restaurant, whatever y'all need to do. But damn, if you, the ex-wife and the daughter, go come in here and dismiss me out of my own house. Oh, okay, so moving on. Wendell wants to know why didn't Wendy confide in him about the abortion. And Wendy's like, why would I? You know, you have already a long laundry list of things that you hold against me. And he's like, I'm so disappointed in you. And she's like, okay, there's no news there. Yeah, so Wendy tells him why would she confide in him because of how judgmental he is of her and that he is so passive aggressive. And Papa chimes in and said, yeah, that's right. You know, you do walk around here holding in your feelings, brooding like a woman. And Wendy's trying to get her Papa to be politically correct again. And she's like, Papa, you can't talk like that. And he said, why not? He said, he does walk around here acting like a sissy. I said, Lord, let me tell you, leave Papa alone, okay? Because Papa is not about to be politically correct for nobody. Papa too old. It is what it is, okay? It is what it is. Wendy tries to call out her mom during this whole thing too, about her mom, you know, bottling up stuff and not saying how she really feel about Janet, because when everything was going down at the table, you know, all the back and forth, the mom did say to her ex-husband, you know, well, no, I didn't tell you about what was going on with Wendy because I thought you would have been too busy tucking Janet in, you know, and telling her bedtime stories. So these are her true feelings, which supported what I felt when they were in the kitchen, because I'm like, all these tips you giving to the new wife, ooh, you need to stop. So yeah, she does feel some kind of way about this new marriage. So when Wendy tries to call her mom out for bottling stuff up, the mom flips the script and tells Wendy, well, what about you? Since we're going to be calling people out on stuff, what about you? And she basically tells Wendy, all the problems you've ever had with your relationships has been because of you. Because you never resolve anything and you just go from one relationship to the next and you never resolve anything. And she brings up Daryl. Now I thought that was kind of interesting because I do remember when Wendy was talking with her mom about the situation with Daryl and the feelings for Julian, that she really weren't trying to, she was really trying to ignore the feelings with Julian, and her mom encouraging her to, you know, to give Julian a chance. I remember that because I was thrown by her mama trying to convince her to give Julian a chance when she really didn't know much about Julian at all. So I was just like, well, why are you giving her this advice and coming off of an abortion by another guy? Just felt like more like a mom would say, take some time, girl. Take some time. So anyway, she brings up Daryl as if that is unfinished business. And that was interesting to me because I really felt like to her mom's point, I felt like the unfinished business Wendy had was her first experience with Julian. And that is how she ended up with Daryl. It was unresolved. She kind of moved on to Daryl. It wasn't resolved, and now she's back to Julian. After all of that, Wendy left out. She told Julian to come on. He was still sitting outside with Janet because, you know, they had been, you know, banished from the kingdom. And so she told Julian to come on, let's go. She wanted to leave. And so you know, so she tells Julian to come on. She wants to leave. She's over it. So Julian is like, no, we shouldn't leave. You know, you can't leave. This is your family. Wendy's like, can't you see that my family is crazy? And Julian's like, our whole relationship has been crazy. So when it gets rough, what are you going to do? You're going to just get up and run out? And Wendy's like, we're not like them. We're not like my dysfunctional family, which is kind of, you know, what? Because in the beginning of this episode, she told Julian that one of the reasons she didn't want to go to her dad's house is because she didn't want to have to explain their dysfunctional relationship to her dad. Okay? So, yeah. So, Julian, again, is trying to be the voice of reason and say, look, this is your one and only family. You need to appreciate them no matter what the situation is. You need to value this. And in this episode, Julian had a lot of comments about, you know, valuing family, thinking about what she has, what he doesn't have, and all that. So I'm looking at Julian when he's making all these type comments, and I'm like, okay, I get that you feel this way because we already know that his family was extremely dysfunctional. He did not have a stable family growing up, so we know that. And we can also appreciate that him seeing any kind of family unit that can come together, even if it's dysfunctional, even if it's whatever, would be something that is appealing to him, because clearly that is something that he wanted that he didn't have with his own family. But it also made me think about Ty, because Julian, if Julian has this much remorse about how you should value family and treat family and protect family and honor family, then he has some work to do with Ty. So I'm interested to see in this season, is he going to do his own work with Ty and perhaps even some of his other family members? Because I don't want to see Julian just try to make Wendy's family the family he never had and not do the work with the family he did not honor. Because he did not honor Ty. He did not treat her right. And she had always been there for him. So if he's giving Wendy this advice, with hindsight on, not only was my family screwed up when I was coming up, but I also mishandled Ty, then I can appreciate that. But I want to see him then try to fix that. So Wendy does bring up to Julian while they're outside, the whole thing about Daryl and their friendship, and you know how she came between that friendship. And Julian tells her basically, look, I choose you over Daryl any day. And she was like, well, you better. And so that was just it. So if that was the closure she needed, I don't even know why that was even worth talking about, quite frankly. So when Julian once again convinces Wendy to stay, to engage with her family. So they start to go back into the house. She, you know, is nicer to Janet. She tells Janet that, you know, she welcomes her to the family. She says she's going to try to get to know her and, you know, all that. So we'll see where that goes. When they go back in the house, Wendy's mom and dad are all huddled up and close and holding hands, and they're like, what the fuck is really going on? And so then Julian is like, what the hell? And that's the end of the scene. This was a really, really good episode. I really appreciated, of course, meeting Papa and Wendell and the daughter bride, Janet. Very good to meet these characters. I am in love with Papa. I really, really enjoyed him in this episode. So, like I said earlier, my rating for this review is going to be different. The past 3 episodes, I've given 2 thumbs up. This episode, I'm going to have to give 1 thumbs up and either a sideways thumb. I don't want to do a thumbs down. It was too good. Too much content to give it a thumbs down, but I'm gonna have to give it 1 thumbs up and maybe a sideways thumb. And the reason why is because there was a lack of continuity from the last episode. In the last episode, when the new roommate, Alex, said, hey D, and Wendy and Julian leaned forward to see who D was, there was an expectation left there that D could potentially be Daryl. So who was D? We didn't pick that up at all in this episode. And so I didn't really like that. I didn't really like that because I felt like, how are we just going to skip over that part? How are we just going to, how are we going to, that was your cliffhanger from the last episode, and then we didn't see anything about that in this episode. So I I didn't like that. That was the only thing I did not like. The continuity from episode 3 to episode 4 that wasn't there with that piece of it, I didn't like. But that, compared to everything else that was in this episode, is a small thing, but I can't give you 2 thumbs up. Again, thank you guys for watching this review. Thank you, as always, for allowing me to have my 2 cents. And until the next time, bye.